It's HGG 2019, and we are just about to get started with our very first match. It's going to be Australia up against the Philippines. Lorinda, what a great match to start with.
Yeah, it's a good one to get warmed up, especially as I was going to say self-proclaimed, but it's Chalk's fault that I'm APAC dad. So Philippines, always a country that I've been looking forward to casting. I've picked them to win every single year so far. Don't see a reason to change that with Gia and Staz in charge. Staz is a monster in events like these, completely destroys things. He got top 8 in the one Masters tour he played in Seoul. He's qualified through various playoffs and things 3 times. Didn't always get to play because of visa things. Won WESG. Anything that takes place online, Staz just wins it. And Gia, as we know, absolutely fantastic player. Don't let the fact she's a caster put you off how good she is at the game. Australia side, Frosty, I think being GM has really helped him. He's got a lot more self-confidence. He's a better player than he was. And Blitz, don't know much about him, but he plays a huge number of qualifiers. Did go 7 and 5 in, I believe it was Vegas. So strong teams as we get into game number 1 of Hearthstone Global Games 2019.
Going to be Gia up against Frosty. Gia on the Token Shaman up against Frosty on the Tempo Rogue. Now, Lorinda, one of the things that Gia said to me when I had a quick chat with her yesterday about these games, and I don't know how serious this was, but she said to me, Derek coached me in how to play Token Shaman. He told me to draw the frog, so I started doing that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. She also tweeted, didn't she, that she's learned how to play from Battlegrounds, just like playing AFK. You do nothing for 2 turns, then you kill your opponent. So
yeah, I mean,
putting
that
those two
is...
things together.
That is pretty much how that works. Tempo Rogue obviously going to try and do its thing, get some stuff on the board, a tempo down the Shaman, but unfortunately for Frosty already, I'm looking at Gia's hand, I'm seeing a frog, seeing a coin, a mutate, Voltaic Burst, and Thunderhead. That all works together very, very nicely. Gia is going to have an explosive turn 4 or turn 5 this game.
She is. One thing that the Shaman can struggle with occasionally, although I do agree that her hand looks like it's going to explode, is that the Rogue can just get enough stuff on board to keep control of things and start doing a lot of damage. Frosty there not going face with the dagger, for instance, showing his intentions to just kill things as they appear.
Just to very quickly run through the lineup that these teams have got. Australia got Tempo Rogue, Highlander Paladin, which was banned, Quest Shaman and Combo Priest. And Australia shielded the Shaman. This is best out of 5 Conquest Shield. Philippines have the Tempo Rogue, which was banned, the Token Shaman, which you see now. They have Highlander Hunter, and they have N'Zoth Warrior, and they also shielded the Shaman, which is no real surprise. Shaman is just the deck of this Hearthstone meta.
Yeah, certainly is, and I think it's getting very slightly less the deck, but that's only because every other archetype has been forced into being able to sort of confront the Shaman in some way or other. It's not because the Shaman's got any less good, it's because all the other decks are now warped around the Shaman. Oh, what a horrible selection of cards.
I guess Claw isn't terrible with a Rogue free equip dagger. That's 1 mana for 3 damage. It's kind of reasonable.
Yeah,
but yeah,
slam kills
it's
a thing, and killing things is good, I think.
Yeah,
like, forgetting the draw card element, just 2 mana kill a thing is desirable, I think.
I prefer 1 mana kill a thing to 2 mana kill a thing, though.
Yeah, but it's 2 mana kill 2 things, whereas combined with your dagger, you can still kill 1 bigger thing the other way. Interesting choice.
All right, well, you win this round.
And now choice number 2. This is where the Rogue has to make decisions against the Shaman. You do want to control that board, but if you don't get the damage in, you inevitably just get flooded by evolved hairs and lose the game. So you're looking to chip away as much as possible, but you must never lose the board, or you do, as many times we have seen, Shaman will just absolutely obliterate you.
Speaking of obliterate, though, I mean, this is just disgusting. And I don't know why there's any surprise in my voice whatsoever. I mean, this Gia is about to do what Shaman does with the hair, with the already frog on the board, got 2 0 mana spells to fish out that evolve and go off. Or I guess plan B, Well, the other option is to actually just play the Thunderhead now and go ahead and coin out Voltaic Burst. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, this is probably what would happen if I ever looked like winning a game of Hearthstone.
Gia did mention
take a sip of coffee at home now. Sorry, you go.
Gia did mention to me that she has very bad internet at home. That's something that she struggled with a lot over her Hearthstone career. I mean, I know having cast online cups with Gia before, that's been a little bit of a struggle because her internet at home hasn't quite been good enough to sort of keep up with the connection. So she did mention to me that she is actually playing in the same physical space as Staz. She said, like, I think she said it was someone's bedroom and then corrected herself. Sorry, at our team HQ. So.
I mean, that just makes sense anyway. We've talked in previous editions of HGG about 4 people having to communicate. Well, if there's only 2 of you and you can get into the same place, it's a lovely environment to work in or to play in, depending how you look at it. Just 2 of you chatting away, playing some Hearthstone, winning some games for your country.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either of us have ever made any sort of secret about big fans of the Philippines. We always have been with HGG. I think you even chose them as one of your teams.
Yeah,
that you were hoping to win
every time. Yeah, I did.
And
it was them or France, and France have got enough fans.
And they are just a fantastic team. As we seem to have a second while we wait for that reconnect to happen. Again, just to talk about the lineup very quickly, Gia did tell me they specifically were trying to target Tempo Rogue and Combo Priest, which were both brought by Australia. So as we hopefully jump back into this game now, we'll be seeing that if that strategy paid off, which it looks like it might do.
Yeah, let's have a look what they've got. And Gia has actually got internet again.
Hey!
Guess what she's going to do? For those who haven't seen this combo, where have you been? Make a million things and evolve them. And this was a superb strategy the last time Evolve came around, as we'll remember. And the only reason we haven't been even more sick of this card than we currently are is last time around, Mid-Range Shaman was even better than Evolve Shaman for a long time.
Right.
It sort of got buried a little bit.
Also, the hair is better than Doppelgangster, right? Like it's 3 mana. And Spirit of the Frog. Just allowing you to fish or the evolve and grab it instantly. That in itself is a reason that the card is strong. The combo is strong.
Yeah, it's interesting when you actually look through the cards in the deck, having never played it, which obviously everybody has at some point. It's weird how the deck comes out. It's got 2 or 3 different themes that don't look like they pull together at first. The frog theme, the Bloodlust theme, the Evolve theme. They all make sense when you've seen the deck 1,000 times, but actually the evolution of the deck's been, so to speak, has been quite interesting.
Right.
And even now, things like Lightning Storm, do you play it, don't you? I'm amazed that nobody has ever tried, I'm sure they have, 1 Hex to link into the Bloodlusts, that sort of thing. Just a collection
now
of
Frosty,
garbage.
Yeah, Frosty just doing his best to pick apart this board. That rope burning out is not a good sign when you've got so many individual cards to play. Look at this right now.
Yeah.
Is he going to make it? I don't even know.
Probably. We're seeing it from Gia's side, I believe, so there's probably a lot to come.
Yeah, okay, alright.
And look at that turnaround. This is the one thing that Rogue can do, and going back to that slam, it's still in his hand for future, but Lightning Storm, mainly there for the mirrors, but absolutely fantastic in situations like this. Just helps you fight, get the board back on the rare occasions that you do lose it.
Yeah.
And then you can just do it all again.
You can't sniff at that play. It was, it's just reset the board all over again. Despite the fact Frosty put so many resources into clearing up that huge board Gia had come up with. I mean, honestly, Frosty has come off to a really good start considering what he's been up against. However, Gia still has 6 cards in her hand, and Frosty, he's got
kind of
stuff.
Has 7.
Yeah,
everything
actually,
in his hand makes more things.
Yeah, you're right. And the Hench Clan Burglar in particular is very powerful.
Yeah, it's just all a little bit slow and not coordinated, whereas Gia's stuff's just going to work really well for her. Although she doesn't currently have anything to overload with, so that might not be the best.
Yeah, that's awkward. Yeah.
So yeah, Frosty now, every card in his hand makes another card, which is why I was lying about his hand size. But he
Oh,
needs...
there we go.
Oh yeah, okay. Sure.
So it's still a kind of complicated turn, isn't it? And I really like this from Gia. Just going to hold off, play the Lickham, hit her opponent in the face. Obviously, with 6 charges of the Lickham available, you're going to want to start using it. And now next turn, you can play the Voltaic Burst with the Thunderhead and even put down a Soul of the Murloc.
Yeah, Soul of the Murloc's a big deal, obviously. It sounds rubbishy, but it just helps you keep that board for when you inevitably draw into some sort of bloodlust nonsense later. Okay, Frosty needs some good pickups here, and that, my friends, is a good pickup.
That is very, very high quality compared to a lot of the Reborn cards. In fact, it's such high quality, Frosty going to go ahead and try and roll it again, or roll another decent Reborn minion.
Yeah, he's just making as many cards as he can.
All right, yeah. I'm down for this game plan.
So he's working out if he wants to dagger again or not here, I think. If he wants to dagger again, then he daggers. But if not, he's going to obviously play the Swashbucklers. He's just trying to pace, keeping stuff on board. Mark's shot continues the theme of killing things and drawing more cards.
I'm being really greedy and staring at Blessed Champion. I'm pretty sure it's never, ever, ever right.
That's such a Falcone thing, so I can see you on stream doing something like that. Let's just do this because it's fun while we're playing.
Staring at it. But
our country. Here comes more stuff. But yeah, Frosty's game plan has been clear. It's just try and keep up on hand size, try and keep up on board. But it's just so difficult. Gia with the Bloodlust now as well, ready to go. So Frosty, not just about board occupation now, but he just loses if he doesn't kill everything or enough things. This is where Soul of the Murloc is just so fantastic.
She's just come up with powerful stuff into more powerful stuff. And although Frosty has been doing a really fine job of clearing away these boards over and over again, I don't know how Frosty clears away enough of this one. Gonna have to do some maths, I think, Lorenzo. It's been a while. Reckless Mummy anymore. Plus Mark Shot plus Vendetta. He can definitely clear a lot of this.
Yeah, and it should be enough to keep him alive.
I think so.
But Gia just reloads again with another soul afterwards, most likely.
And then at some point that Bloodlust is going to be primed to deal an unholy amount of damage.
Imagine playing Rogue with 2 people as well. Yeah, we've got pictures of Frosty, but remember, he's there with Blitz. They're probably just debating how to go about this. Oh, and they've taken the "if you've got it" line here. Yeah, okay.
And it's lethal. It's lethal. I think it's exactly lethal if I've counted that correctly very quickly. But either way, Gia playing that Bloodlust, it looks like she's found it. Yeah, exactly. 18 damage.
They went with a line that if you haven't got Bloodlust, we can win this game by playing it this way. And if you have got Bloodlust, I'll find a way to stop it anyway. So therefore, you play to the line where they haven't got it and hope they haven't. But it's Shaman. They've always got it. We all know this.
You've got to take the risks occasionally, I guess. But unfortunately for Frosty, that one didn't pay off. And the Philippines take game number 1. Again, just to remind everyone, you can see the lineups and bans beneath us right now. This is best out of 5 Conquest with Shield. So very, very similar to the current Hearthstone Grandmasters format that you've become used to. Except, yeah, we always do. We like best out of 5s here in Hearthstone Global Games.
Yeah, best out of 5s have always been my thing. It allows for such better excitement at times. If someone goes 2-0 up, you never know. Were they going to lose? Best of 5? Plenty of reverse sweeps do happen. And with the Shield, we're going to see a lot of Shaman over the next couple of days. Be interesting to see which teams try and target it. There's always somebody, right? Every format, there's a deck that's the best deck. And there's always somebody who brings a lineup that tries to target it. And that doesn't usually work. It's usually best just let people have their win with the best deck.
Yep. And that's why, again, Gia said to me that their strategy, Philippine strategy, is targeting Tempo Rogue and Combo Priest. And already we can see the Tempo Rogue has been taken down at once. We'll have to wait and see if Australia can get a win with that. But now Frosty back up again with the Combo Priest, which again, Gia did say they were targeting.
Yeah, and the Hunter has a lot more removal in the deck than you might imagine. You sort of envisage Hunter and Paladin, the Highlander decks, as straight on aggro, but the Hunter deck's a lot more controlling than that. And even things like Freezing Trap, you don't necessarily want it early, but it can really interfere with the Priest later on if you control their early minions.
I mean,
Pressure Plate's here to deal with the early spells, because there's plenty of things like shields.
Deadly shots, bows, kill commands, Unleash the Hound can do work. Marked Shot is removal. Spellbreaker is essentially removal in this matchup. Unleash the Beast.
Plate.
Pressure Plate, exactly. Dynatamer Brand, Summon the King Crush, that's removal. Tiamat is removal. Like, this deck is chock full of the stuff.
Yeah, and Frosty's going to have to tiptoe around a lot of that. And with that in mind, I wonder if he's tempted to play an early shield, but you know you're going to run into a secret, but you don't know what it's going to be. You've seen Gia keep 2 cards. That's scary with that removal list you just listed. You don't want to get pressure plated with the coin. Maybe you just do it now.
Is it shield or sidekick? That's what I'm wondering now. It's nothing. Actually, just going to pass
nothing.
I
mean, we can see the hand. Frosty might not expect a pressure plate keep. I mean, he would, but there's a lot of cards they would keep. So, or maybe just wants to get it out of the way, move on with the real minions later on.
So how as Frosty do you play around every secret right now? That is the question. Because if you want to play around pressure play, obviously you just play the sidekicks, or maybe play one sidekick and shield up the sidekick just to hedge. But it's very difficult to play around everything at the same time. Alright, it's no freezing trap. It's no explosive trap. It's no snipe. Really narrowing it down now.
Yeah, Australia with
pressure plate.
Big issues, and he knows what's going on here. I think he's going to put lots of minions out and hope it misses. And the Philippines are just free to do what they like here in terms of development. They could be dead next turn, I guess, or very close to it, so they've got to be a bit careful.
This is when the mind games really start to come in as well, though, because Philippines have to work out what Frosty has tested for and what Australia think the secret is, so that the Philippines, Staz and Gia, so that they make it more difficult for Australia to play around that secret. It's really mind game central here.
Yeah, very helpful to have 2 of you, of course, in this situation. Well, it should be very helpful. You might also have people arguing in some of the matches, but in general, it will be favourable. If you've ever seen 2 top players working together, it's insane how quickly they come to good conclusions compared to one good player.
So now Australia are able to test for Snake Trap just by hitting into the bear. Rat Trap is going to be something they're a little concerned about, but obviously the one that it is, the pressure plate, that is very clearly a threat of its own.
Yeah, and they might also want to just make a big minion, but the problem with that is they know their hand's full of deadly shots and stuff. Yeah, he's going to get this test out of the way.
All right.
Where's it going to be? Okay.
Bad hit for the Philippines.
Frosty has the option to play the Inner Fire and put a 3rd minion down, healing everything up. And then just take chance with things like Deadly Shot and such like. That is a distinct option here, just to make an 8-8. That will get bigger fast.
I mean, they could make an 8-8 and hit Staz in the face with it. Right
There's
now,
also that
they can just do that, and I really like it.
Yeah, they're going for the 16.
Oh, love it. Love it, Lorinda. Not loving it when I look at the Deadly Shot in Staz's hand, though. That is the reason why not.
yeah, the way I was going to do it was make an 8-8 and just heal up and have 3 minions, but again, taking the view that we want to get this one done if we can. Deadly Shot is there, and it was not kept in the opener. They've already gone through the two mulligan keep cards. I could have worded that better, I'm sure. And so no reason for Australia to believe there was necessarily in the hand. Those plays can make you look very silly very quickly when they go wrong, when you can see both hands. But if there wasn't a Deadly Shot, that was game over.
Absolutely. That's why I was such a big fan of the play to begin with. But unfortunately, you have to decide whether you want to play around a certain card. Australia decided that the Deadly Shot wasn't worth playing around, and there you go. It's going to be excessively difficult for Frosty to get back onto the board here. Cleric is one of the better cards to do so, though.
Yeah, how much time do you have? Because you want to just play all three cards next turn, right?
Yeah.
But that's really slow, and you're probably just going to be dead.
Right.
I said the Hunter could defend, but it could kill you quick. The other options...
Cleric heal the Misha. Ugh.
You can have a 4-7 and a 2-3, and then hope to heal other things. Yeah, Cleric, heal the Misha, ugh, that just must fail.
I think it's got to be the Blade Master and the Nephisa, actually. Like you said. I mean, that makes the strongest board. It's just a pass? No way!
Pass is brave, but I get it. I do get it. But now you're just dead to Bran as well, if it's in the hand. But you can't play around everything, as I keep saying.
This is out of control.
Well, this needs to be a good turn. Certainly Healing is the card that can make things happen, but...
It's so close!
Oh, wow.
Just missing a Pyromancer. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, not Snipe. We know there's a Snake Trap down and another Mystery Secret that we haven't actually seen. So
draw two, and they're nearly dead.
Yeah.
And this could be Rat Trap.
Yep.
Which is no fun either. Yeah, this is just not fun at all for Australia. Play the Cleric, draw a Pyromancer, hope that the Philippines forget to kill your minions. I don't know. I'm out of ideas.
I've been out of ideas for a little while now, Lorinda. Pyromancer gets drawn, but that is too little too late by the looks of things, as, like you said, Staz has almost just got lethal here. It's not quite there just yet.
Yeah.
10 damage, 11, 12 with the hero power, but Siamat can get thrown down, and I don't know how Frosty deals with all of this.
Siamat, player mat. That's what I do. Philippines just making sure there isn't anything more crazy. Rat Trap is kind of tempting because you get 2 more damage in and a 6/6 almost certainly, but yeah. Discussion makes sense. Kill things off. Okay, so the consideration there was, are we putting the Shimmerfly into the 4/7 before playing the Siamat and then killing off the Blade Master? That was what that discussion would have been about.
Yeah, Circle of Healing drawn there, but no, Cleric's still alive. Frosty gives it up. Philippines take their second win of the series. A very strong start. And again, Gia says we're targeting Rogue and Priest. They've taken down a Rogue and they've taken down a Priest.
Yeah, and obviously with the format being the way it is, that means the Rogue and the Priest that are being targeted are still there to be targeted again, which is kind of how specialist conquest and its variants work. And targeting things, it's interesting. You never, even when there is no protect, or shield, you tend to still target the 3rd or 4th best decks because they're easier to target as long as you get it right. The downside being that the opponents may not bring those decks if they're the third or fourth best. They may bring the fifth best, and then your strategy falls apart.
Yeah. Well, we are going to go to a very short break just now while we get the next game ready for you. But when we return, will the Philippines get their 3-0 sweep, or will Australia start to make their comeback? Find out after this. It's the Philippines up against Australia, where the Philippines currently lead 2-0. We're going to have to wait and see if Australia can make their comeback, but they've got some serious work to do, Lorinda.
Yeah, they're being targeted on the decks that they brought, which is never much fun, and the 2-0 down is also never much fun. It is only match number 1 out of 18 this weekend, though, and it's double elimination groups all the way, so losing this is not a total disaster. They would have to have a elimination match against Japan, I believe, whoever loses this. So not all completely done. And one of the beauties of double elimination groups, obviously, you can be targeted by one of the teams and still not suffer the consequences too badly from that.
That's right. Just a little reminder for those of you that missed the very beginning, we're not bringing you every single match with HGG this year, just most of them. So we will tell you that Singapore versus Japan happened off stream. Singapore took down Japan. So Japan will be facing off against the loser of this series later on in the losers match. But then in the winners match, it will be the winner of the series up against Singapore, and I believe that's going to be coming up after this series. So stay tuned for that one. But first, we need to find out which of these teams it's going to be. What I will say, which is working in Australia's favour, at least a little bit, is that they've still got their shaman to play. So hopefully It's one easy-ish win for them, right?
It's actually one of the big deals about best of 5 versus best of 3. If you put the shamans through, it becomes best of 3 instead of best of 1, which is a huge difference. Let's have a look at that shaman deck. It's not the token version; it's the quest version, which I know. I know there are massive differences in how they play against certain decks, but sometimes they just feel indistinguishable from each other.
Yeah,
they just go hair evolve, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah, they both play hair, they both play evolve. The token shaman that the Philippines are playing is a little bit more aggressive. It does those things with the spirit quite early on, etc. Thunderhead, all of that stuff. Whereas for Australia's quest shaman, it's more about they've got more late game staying power, right? Like when that quest's finished, with Barista, with Shuttlewalk, with Life Drinkers, etc. Those battle cries do get quite overwhelming in the long run.
Yes,
however,
so much value.
So there are going to be some good matchups for the Philippines. The Philippines have N'Zoth Warrior, for example, which in theory just shouldn't outlast the Shaman.
Yeah, and I mean you can see by looking at ladder right now which decks beat Shaman, because it's all the decks that are in the top 100, which is 99 Shamans and whatever Theo's playing today. Philippines deck there, as you see the N'Zoth deck. The only deck they have to win with, and it's the greedy version with the Brewmaster.
It is. With Brewmaster, with Hakar, with N'Zoth, obviously. Again, I described the Quest Shaman as more late game than the Token Shaman. Well, this is much more late game than even that. However, because of how the Quest Shaman is sort of put together, it does deal a lot of damage in sort of the mid to late game section when that quest is completed with Baristas, with all of the lackeys. We've got the Kobold lackeys that deal 4 damage, and then bounce it, and then play it again, and then Shuttlewalk to deal even more. So if that matchup ends up happening, that'll be an interesting one to watch, to see whether or not the Philippines can sort of get over that hurdle, and survive into the late game where they have an advantage.
And you just know, at some point in the next 3 weeks, we're going to see that N'Zoth, Brewmaster, Lysiana face off against the mirror. It's just going to happen. And if you thought old Control Warrior games were bad, at least they went to fatigue.
Well,
100 Lysianas and Hakars, you saw Bucharest. It goes on a while.
I, for one, hope that yourself and Derek are casting that one if it comes up.
I was just thinking exactly the same. I was just thinking, let's just hope it's Falcon Derek. Either way, we've agreed it's Derek.
yeah, that sounds fair. Yeah, Derek is the third caster that will be joining us on this journey through the Hearthstone Global Games. At least this week, so I look forward to seeing him a little bit later. But in the meantime, we are going to have our third game starting very, very soon. In the meantime, here's a little reminder of what Group A looks like. The first match, as you can see there, Australia versus the Philippines. We'll have our winner, which will face off against Singapore. And that's going to be the next series today. Japan played Singapore off stream, so later on, Japan, as they lost that match, will be playing the loser of this match. The loser of that one will be eliminated immediately. We're not pulling any punches this year with HGG. We're getting right to the point.
Yeah, we're playing the groups in order as well, so it's not going to be get to day 3 and you've forgotten what happens. I think we have a cliffhanger at the end of each day to go into the second half of some groups, but we're going through the groups. It's not going A, B, C, D, E, but it is going all of Group A, then all of Group E, etc. So, like a series of mini tournaments to find out who we're going to have in Stage 2, as it should be. I like my clarity at the end of a day's Hearthstoning.
And that is, like, to be totally honest, I mean, that is one of the advantages to having had the matches already being played, because one of the restrictions that we had last year and the year before with the Hearthstone Global Games is time zones, where all of the different countries had to play at certain times. They didn't want to be up in the middle of the night, 4 a.m, playing their matches. So we could only broadcast the matches at those set times, which is why it felt somewhat random, the order in which the games happened. But because all the matches have been pre-recorded, we've now, magically reorganized them into a much more digestible order for the broadcast. And I, for one, actually do think that is, regardless of what you think of games being played live or not, I think that's quite a big advantage.
Yeah, I do like groups just going straight through. And like you say, time zones could make that messy in some situations. And Singapore, just looking at them in this particular group, going back to this group, Singapore, we've hardly mentioned them, but they made their names, Equinox in particular, but Lambi Series also, through various HGG events over the last couple of years, I believe.
Yep, they're also teammates
Certainly
a little bit
Equinox.
like... Yeah, right. They're also teammates like Stars and Gia, so they are used to playing together, but we'll talk more about them later as we have game number 3. And it is actually going to be that Quest Shaman up against the N'Zoth Warrior. So here we go. Let's get settled, because this is going to be, this could be quite a long one.
Yep. Anything with Warrior in can definitely be long ones, even more than in the past. I like the deck. I'm one of those tedious people who enjoys just stopping my opponent from doing things. But I can understand why some people don't find it so much fun. Questing Explorer, one of my favourite design cards of the set. Because it's so good early on, but it's so rubbish later.
Yeah.
Like...
But it's also arguably better than Novice Inventor for the same reason, in that, like, it doesn't reactivate when Shadow Walk gets played much later into the game. So your Shadow Walk is less likely to fatigue you to death, because the Questing Explorers don't keep drawing you cards, which is another advantage, sort of.
Yeah, that makes some sense as well. Like I say, the Shaman decks have evolved in... it's not even deliberate how I keep using that word for once, but they have developed in such unusual ways to get to where they are. A lot of the stuff is obvious. Yes, I know that Hair and Evolve is a good combo, but a lot of the stuff isn't so obvious as well. And that's all we've really got to mention about it in terms of how Shaman works. We've all seen the deck so many times. Let's remember the roots. Clear decision here from the Philippines as we go into turn 2, though. This is not going to fatigue, in case you thought it might. They know they're going to be ahead in any situation, so no Elysiana bounces going on, no N'Zoth bounces. They want to challenge this board and get it over with.
Honestly, I mean, it still could go to fatigue, but what Stars is saying is that we win the fatigue game regardless. Like, we don't need to bounce Elysiana to win the fatigue game. We just do that. So if we can clear all of Blitz's threats over and over again and stay alive, that's good enough for us.
Yeah, now Australia have the same decision with their mind control tech in some ways. They don't want to do it just yet, I don't think. Start getting your totem down and get yourself some more minions, but if you get to the point where you want to use your MC tech, you're probably behind anyway, and you also want it in your Shadow Walk pool, and this is the most mana efficient time to spend it. One thing about Shaman, I think people assume it's easy to play because it wins a lot. You can play badly and still win a game. It is allowed. It's actually quite a difficult deck to play. It's just very, very forgiving.
Well, following the not caring about fatigue plan here, shield block makes a lot of sense. Getting that armor up with double shield slam in hand. Wow, gonna go ahead and use one now.
Yeah, it's just grim that you have to do this because you're just going to get too far behind on value if you don't kill it. But that's an actual thing after Evolve that now can't be killed. Obviously, the Plague of Wrath could come in handy if they can draw an activator. But right here, right now, if this was a Hair Evolve type turn, the game would be close to over. As it happens, it's not. The Philippines are on 37 health, and there's no threats forthcoming right now. Blitz is looking for a team, by the way. Shout out for that.
Okay.
He plays an absolute ton of qualifiers. He did win one of those qualifiers as well. He's played over 350 best of threes this year alone. Had decent success rate too, so he will put in the time and effort and work for you. I'd approach him before he becomes Global Games champion if I were you.
Or before he falls too deep onto the Battlegrounds bandwagon, like the rest of us.
He's been playing. He's been playing. He's been playing actual Hearthstone.
Like with Blitz, there isn't really much for Staz to do here. I mean, he's got Snip Snap playable, but do you really want to play that for just 1, 2, 3? It's looking like an armor up and pass turn.
Yeah, Australia. It's always a bit annoying what resources you want to put out there and what you don't against the warrior. But they haven't really managed to get much pressure, and don't if you don't get some sort of hair start, to be fair.
Blitz just wants to get that quest done now, right? Like, as soon as that quest is done, with Shadowwalk in hand, with Witchwood Piper in hand as well, I guess the real question for Blitz is, do I play the Piper before completing the quest to complete the quest, or do I wait, play the Piper after completing the quest to then get 2 lackey generators, which each generate 2 lackeys, and then at that point, just go off?
Yeah, they also need to put minions on the board. Philippines have been not putting minions on the board in case their Mogu is in the hand. So that's important. Obviously, they haven't got it at the moment, Australia, but it'll turn up. It always does.
Playing this feels a little bit better than playing it last time would have done. At least you get a 4/6, right? And with the double death rattle, that is slightly better, and I think good enough to hold off a turn 4.
Yeah. Last turn would have allowed Mogu as well. They could have played it anyway, but would have made it significantly easier. Now it's like past that point. It's like, well, we're in trouble anyway, so let's make a big thing. So it worked on all angles there. It's actually a real pain to deal with a hand that Australia have.
How are you completing this quest, Blitz? You've got lots of different options available, and they all just seem like they have a downside. Again, the downside to playing the Piper now is you don't get 2 Sludge Slurpers later. With the, each with 2 lackeys. But at least now Blitz can clear the board nicely. Yeah. But there you go. Board is clear. Quest is complete. Next turn, Blitz can go Sludge Slurper into 2 lackeys, into both of those battle cries, etc., etc.
Just not exerting any pressure at all, though, which is allowing Philippines to just take their time quite happily. No weird silence effect tech in this deck. There isn't usually, but I'm going to check every single time because people do sneak in the occasional weird stuff into these decks, especially in tournament conditions, where you sometimes find really odd cards in decks, but nothing at all out of the ordinary about this deck. Philippines is just trying to work out the best way to do nothing here.
It's like you look at the brawl and you're like, no, and then you look at Carter and you're like, really? Is now the time? Like, there's really nothing there. Four attack represented on the board for Blitz. 4.
And it's like
there's a Bloodlust in the deck.
And they've done absolutely nothing, and I think I really like this. There's absolutely no reason to commit until you see what Australia are going to do. Mm-hmm. You've got all your answers there, and you haven't got any questions to answer, so just wait until the question turns up.
All right, it's lackey time.
They now have 5 attack on the board. I'm so scared.
Actually, that's a bit concerning for Blitz. Play a 7th minion, and then Staz might just be able to sit there and do nothing for 5 turns because he's not taking much damage. There's no Bloodlust in the deck. Blitz could discover a Bloodlust from a lackey. Obviously, that's a possibility. And there's also the Evolves, which could power up this pitiful board.
Yeah. And at some point, they're going to have to do it. The problem is, the longer they leave it, the more brawls you walk into. But also, you're just wasting it if you do it too early. It's going to be an ongoing problem.
I don't know if they particularly care if this board gets brawled, though.
Exactly,
like, yeah,
that's what I mean, though.
But... yeah.
Yeah, but if you don't use the evolve, like you just said, nothing might happen. There we go, now the game has to start. Okay. Turn 8, Hearthstone breaks out on the board. Because now there's an actual threat that can do some damage.
5/5. Hearthstone breaks out. Oh, it's gone. Okay.
Yeah, Hearthstone.
False alarm, guys. False alarm.
It would have been funny actually if that evolve would have gone into something terrible. Okay, damage is happening.
Yeah, well that's 6 damage right there. Plus again the 5 damage represented on the board. Blitz can get Staz down to 25 now if you'd like to.
Ooh, red numbers.
Yeah, that would be a red number. Obviously, Life Drinker is another option. I'm still looking at the evolve and thinking maybe Blitz should just go ahead, play the evolve, let the brawl happen, then restock the board with better stuff. Because at the moment, these totems are in the way.
Yeah. But then you haven't got an evolve anymore. I think you might be right, though. I'm just going to chip away. Try and make it difficult for Philippines. Now that, yeah, they've decided to force it out. They have got the other one in hand, so... It's also going into the Dr. Boom turn, which means you can't just throw your boom out there, you eat too much damage. One of the big differences when Boom got nerfed to 9 is that you can't hero power without the coin on the same turn. And that's super relevant. Because a lot of the hero powers would have actually been enable you to throw Boom out there.
Well, there we go. Happened as predicted. The evolve happened. The brawl happens. Great. Now Blitz's board is empty. He can actually start to play stuff. He can take advantage of that hero power and those lackeys and really sink some damage in.
There we go. Getting the life drink, allowing for the Shudderwock's really handy as well.
Yep. That's another 6 damage immediately, and then another 6 damage later, thanks to the both life drinkers. We've stopped spectating.
Somebody seen too much shaman.
We'll just let the our production team sort that one out in just a second. But it looks like things are starting to turn for the better for the shaman. As we're gonna jump straight back in now, as shaman has gotten to the sort of power spike part of the game, and now it's up to Staz to survive for the next 5 or 6 turns.
Yeah, reloading straight after a brawl, good time to do so. I hope they haven't got the second one. Obviously, there's other things that Warrior can do, but now the threats are becoming menacing, especially with Shudderwock in hand. Nothing's died, so N'Zoth's not very useful. This board urgently needs dealing with.
I think it's 2 snip snaps. No, it's actually just 1 snip snap, isn't it? Because he magnetized the one on the second. So yeah, N'Zoth for 1 snip snap. That doesn't seem great. Could it ever just be Dr. Boom? It's a risky one because you kind of need to be able to gain armor against Shaman. But and there's also an Illidan on the board. No, he can't risk that.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. One option is to Dynamatic and Plague.
That's what I was looking at, yeah.
And close your eyes and hope it all ends well.
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't end badly because the 1/1s are, let's say you obviously need to hit Illidan. If you hit the 1/1s, there's only 2 minions left for the last 2 bombs or whatever the Dynamatic.
So it's a 1 in 5, and then a 1 in 4, and then a... Yeah,
think of it the other way. Take the first 3 bombs out and they all hit the bad things. There's only 2 minions left. You've got a 1 in 2 twice, basically.
Okay.
Because otherwise it hasn't hit the 1/1s. That's the... It's not quite right, but that's the cheap and dirty way to work it out. Your way would work, but it would also take a long time.
Yeah, well, definitely not going to do that now, as Dr. Boom has come down, and Stars accepting that himself and Gia are going to take quite a bit of damage over this turn. 14 on the board.
Speak to me.
Yeah, potential 6 from the Shadowwalk as well. So wasping your opponents in the face here just seems natural to me.
Well, it's one-off lethal, right? With Hero Power, Wasp, and Kobold Lackey, I think that's 24.
I make it 24 as well, yeah, if you want to play the Lackey 2, which you might as well.
Yeah, I mean, just sink all of the damage into the face and win with Shadowwalk next turn seems like a viable strategy here.
I will not be rushed.
Yeah. And how do you deal with this board and gain enough armor to survive, is the question. But this isn't really a big part of Philippines' game plan, as you've said a few times. Targeting the other 2 decks was a big part of it. So if the predicted loss happens here, which I think it will, then they've still got the hard work to do with Australia.
There's just not a way out of this, is there? I mean, what is the most health Stars can get back here? He's got Weapons Project to get himself back onto, 11? Kartu blocks a couple attacks, heals for another 6, and then a Hero Power.
I mean, first of all, they have to say there's no Shadowwalk in the opponent's hand as well. I mean, there is nowhere to put it if you can just somehow fend off the million damage that's coming in from the minions alone. Yeah, that's not going to work.
It's going to have to just be Kartu, Weapons Project, Hero Power, isn't it? Just deal with whatever Stars can. Hero Power kills one of the 3/3s. Weapons Project gets rid of a 2/1, I guess.
I mean, yes, but ooh. And that should be it. Math seems it's hard. We'll do 17, 7, 8, 9. It's exact lethal, I think, with Shadowwalk.
Yeah, it is. It is lethal. Even, yeah.
And that's if everything else goes wrong.
For my glory.
I guess the Shadowwalk could get evolved into a chicken. There has been a...
I don't think it can hit the Shadowwalk and cancel out its battle cry.
Right. It never used to be able to, so...
That's right.
I was trying to find any way that I could be wrong.
The Lackey can't evolve itself, right? So the Shadowwalk can't evolve itself.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? Even easier though. Kobold Lackey with the Hero Power. We'll just do the job.
So fun.
Or do you know what? Play both. That's more fun.
That's more
Kobold
fun.
Lackey and Shadow. All of the damage in the world. Blitz is going to get the job done. Australia get their first win up against the Philippines here in our very first series of Hearthstone Global Games 2019.
Just watching all the battle cries going off.
There it is.
It seems so random. Like a game of, Battlegrounds there, just for a moment. Things blowing up.
But that result was going to happen every single time as they do take the win. And like I said at the beginning of that game, the thing that Australia had going for them is that they still haven't played with the Shaman yet. They played with the Shaman, they won with the Shaman. Now it's just a question of Rogue and Priest, which again, I'm going to keep bringing this up. Gia did say that Philippines were targeting those 2 decks. So Philippines believed that they were in a very good spot in this position. Let's see how it goes. Priest versus Warrior.
Yep, absolutely no reason to care which of the 2 decks you queue. No sort of tiebreakers or anything to worry about. So pick the one you want to play. I imagine that with some of the longer days, some of the teams will pick the quickest one in case it wins quickly, but can Australia actually get a hand together?
So much like the matchup against the Hunter, I guess, the way this is going to work is Stars is going to just try and clear everything, and Frosty is going to try and prevent Stars from clearing everything. That's the gist of it.
Yeah, and Yeah, but the priest loses this by losing all of its minions and then conceding.
Yep.
Because it just doesn't have a way to beat you anymore. It wins it by killing you really quickly with inner fires and buffed minions. And remember, this deck was just unbeatable 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
This was the deck that people loved to hate back then, so you shouldn't be writing your priests quickly if it's still a very powerful deck.
Absolutely not. Priest is one of the riskier classes, I believe, for you to target in a Conquest tournament at the moment, because yeah, it can just get that explosive start and win. Even in the game against the Hunter earlier, Frosty did end up with, what was it, an 18-18 minion immediately, and it happened that the Hunter had Deadly Shot, but if the Hunter did not have Deadly Shot, the Priest would have just won on turn 3 or 4.
Yeah, interesting. That play was still interesting to me. I think it was right, but there were options to play a little bit more board-centric in that game. But they, like you say, they just win if there's no Deadly Shot, and why should there be a Deadly Shot? There were no cards for Mulligan in hand. Yeah, doing damage to minions is really important, but it also activates Northside Clerics and many other things. Armor surprisingly interesting. So definitely was good cause to take stock there.
There's so many different avenues that Frosty can take here. I mean, with a double buff, that Nefer set on it in its own right is looking good. Then you can play the cleric on top of that, but maybe you want to hold the cleric back, play it with the pyromancer at some point after drawing a circle of healing. Do you want to wait until you draw the circle of healing to do that? Like, there are so many avenues here.
It's messy as anything. I'm actually just going to
this is really nice.
Clear up this way.
Prevent the Acolyte.
No tomb can hold me! No tomb can hold me! Light the fuses!
And I believe we're back.
We're back. Sorry about that.
Hope you enjoyed those moments of being sapped. I'm sure that chat have always wanted it. Like their dream come true. So where did we get to? We were talking about priests and warriors because there's priests and warriors being played, and Frosty had just managed to get a fairly decent board, which is
half the board though, and Frosty still has a lot of damage coming in, and still has the cleric alive, and still has 2 Nephesets in hand.
Yeah, and no buffs, which is really weird. So restricted to just the minions the way they were born. Assuming he doesn't want a 3/3 cleric. Not a lot of damage going to be able to come through. I mean, Philippines will be very worried here, but it's a real mind game because Australia will be expecting their board to be cleared if they do too much here.
That's true.
Okay, these have been buffed quite high actually.
I mean, we're going to be looking at lethal in not too long.
Yeah, getting rid of that Thorstone. Oh, look at this. This is tasty.
That's a really aggressive
Tasty,
play.
scary.
Throwing both Pyromancers out, yeah. Both Pyromancers gone. That Cleric does get healed up against. That is one more card draw. It's not weak to anything particularly now that I can think of. Doesn't die to that.
It would have done, but it doesn't. Yeah. And
that with the
amounts
weapons
of damage
project,
available.
sure.
Yeah, just with boom would have been fine, but yeah, it's unfortunately that's not how 9 works.
Stars can't do anything about this.
No.
Right, absolutely. If the Shield Slam was in the hand when Thorisat went off, it would have been fine. But
Yeah.
yeah, Stars is just going to have to play Dr. Boom and just sort of brace himself, I guess.
There's also the opportunity to just go Elysiana and hope my deck turns into things I need. I think you just play boom, but then you don't get this. You really want the 7 armor with a shield slam. But nothing else makes any sense, so ends up having to do it. You still always get the 1 in 5 roll and get the armor back next turn.
What was the alternative? Play Elysiana and turn your deck to trash. Like,
Yeah,
I think Stars just had to play Boom this turn.
I can imagine Stars and Gia frantically working out all the things their deck could turn into with Elysiana that can kill a 7/7.
Can we get 10 spell breakers? Probably not. Okay, next plan.
I mean, I guess the alternative was to throw down Harrison to cause distraction in the museum and just hope that you don't die next turn, and then you kill the 7/7 with the shield slam the turn after.
But yeah, now looking at Frosty's hand, I mean, there is everything going for Australia at the moment. They've got all of the minions they could want. They've got Bronsamdi to draw the rest of the 1-drops. Going to go ahead and do that now. Going to be some beaming sidekicks there.
Yeah, more importantly, just thinning out the deck to get to the last bits they need. They can just win it on board at the moment as it stands, but in case they need any other trickery to get this done.
Hey, I got you, friend.
And that health total is going to evaporate without the need for many buffs in particular. Warpath, you are late.
Very late. So Shield Slam, useless. Elysiana, useless. Warpath clears a couple of things, but for the most part, useless. Hero Power, again, the same. It allows for those same 2 minions to be cleared. But I don't believe Stars can even combine the 2 to deal with one of the larger minions. Which really leaves Hakar and Harrison as his only options.
Hakar, just get really lucky.
This is a good time for a master plan.
I mean, you know, I said at the start of this game, similar to like the Hunter matchup, the Warrior is, or similar to the Hunter up against the Priest, I mean, the Warrior is going to want to remove as much as possible over and over again. It doesn't work when you've got no tools to remove the stuff with.
Yeah. And even the Hakar option, if it came to do it, really, you could just stay on 10 cards. Just to cut out even that tiny poke. So they're trying to combine this turn with something happening next turn, basically. cut down the Divine Shield so they don't die, and hope that these 9 cards that Australia have in their hand aren't going to be very good. So instantly starts counting things. And the only thing for them to calculate really is what's their plan B in case of accident. For all they know, that this might be part of a cunning 2-turn plan from the Philippines, but we know it's just desperation. Heal everything up to get out of Plague of Wrath, I guess, is a thing you want to do.
Hey, I got you, friend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult to do with that Nefset or a Circle of Healing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not that Frosty... Oh, never mind. I missed
Yeah,
that there was still one in the hand. Okay. Ooh, Divine Spirit. Divine Spirit! No Inner Fire available just yet, though.
Is someone injured?
Okay. You couldn't kill our board last turn. Dare you to kill it this turn. Challenge declined.
Okay then.
Well, I don't know about you, Falk, but this hand does not inspire anything.
It inspires the concede button.
Never give in. Fight to the end.
This would be a good time for a miracle.
Well, there's very much lethal represented on board. And, well, let's see.
And
Ziliax,
stop.
magnetized on. That's back up to 16 health again.
Mhm.
Okay.
And you can kill it.
Hero power to kill a thing. Yeah, okay.
You're probably on 20 health if there's no silencers. I think we saw that used before the small intermission. Okay. Alive.
Oh,
No,
well,
not alive.
Dead. Very, very, very dead. 44 damage going to the
44.
dome. Dead.
That's a lot. And it
Could've
goes
made
to 2
that
games
bigger with the,
apiece.
Yeah, Frosty and Team Australia tying up this series very nicely indeed. 2-2. Targeting the priest has not worked out, so now for the Philippines, they're going to have to hope their strategy works out against the rogue, or it's going to be lights out, and Singapore will be taking this one.
Singapore? Falk's, isn't it? It's Australia.
Sorry, Australia will be taking this
You're
one.
checking your notes.
I've got all these different team names in my head, yeah. We will see how
Australia.
it goes.
We're hoping for a frosty Christmas on the 23rd of December.
And Rogue against Warrior again. Here we go, as the game starts now. Gia on the Warrior. Gia did say that the Warrior is supposed to beat those decks, but maybe wasn't teched quite as well as it could have been. Hence, we're now in this position where it's game 5.
Questing Adventure is always good fun against Warrior. But
So
going
Ice
for more
Baron.
stuff
Frosty.
in modern times. The days where you just make Questing Adventure, if they don't kill it, you kill them the next turn. That was always amusing. But a little bit more early game in these Warriors. Yeah. Very nice
This
hand.
is a much nicer hand for the Warrior, yeah, exactly. But then Frosty does have double Miscreant. And a backstab to start it all off next turn.
Mm-hmm.
So things are going to get out of control very, very quickly.
You would think. So next turn is the excitement begins. Nothing big to challenge the board, but obviously lackeys challenge the board in their own way. It's one of the weird things about Rogue is you get the board by doing a whole lot of nothing, and then your opponent just dies. So we know what next turn is going to be with that attack to the face.
Yeah. Waggle pick definitely going to be coming down here. And, oh, wow. Okay. Very nice. Okay, it's not a definite play anymore, but Waggle pick still looks nice. The sooner you can get that broken with this amazing hand, the better, because Frosty wants to be repeating these battle cries.
Yep, agree. And Frosty agrees as well. I mean, they were absolutely certainly going to do that until they picked up this and then just added a little bit of doubt to the mind. Ugh, damage on minions. But now the bounce is all set up.
Yep. Gia could coin out Harrison here, but it doesn't really serve any purpose. She doesn't really want to bounce that one through.
Yeah.
Let's kill it instead.
The Philippines are looking in a good spot, to be honest. They've got plenty of stuff going forward for the next few turns. And then they can start getting into their big things later, which obviously just seal the game. Lots of value in the meantime for Frosty, though. But how to use it? Because value is one thing, but...
So, yeah, how important is tempo here, though? We know Frosty's running Adventurer and Togwaggle, so there is some great tools for Australia towards the end of the game. But then can they compete with a late game Nazoth? I don't know.
Yeah, the Warrior also just finds ways to hit you if you're not careful. You know, Harrison's a 5/4, Thorsan's a 5/5. Some of the other minions are fairly beefy as well. It's not just sit around and do nothing from the Warrior. They can just kill you. It's not their normal plan of attack, but it's something you have to be aware, especially as Rogue. If you do start getting behind, and you start to take 5 or more a turn, then your weapon becomes a lot less useful, etc. So you're okay for the time being, but it is something to be aware of as the game ticks by.
Now it's complicated
when it wasn't
because...
going to die, but
yeah, I mean Harrison is tempting now because it doesn't necessarily bounce the Miscreant, and you just play on curve, reduce the opponent's damage output by 4. You know, it's definitely got upsides. But then, like you said, Thorsan is worth looking at as well. The problem is Gia's nowhere near ready to play that Nazoth yet.
Right. Yeah, I think because
she needs more death out of minions.
Yeah, they'll come though. They'll turn up.
No tomb can hold me.
So this suggests to me that they're going to play the Harrison and say, okay, have a Pharaoh Cat. We don't care. And now that's a massive swing because your Harrison lives. Thorsan. Yeah, the Harrison may take enough stuff from Australia that your Thorsan can stick a turn. It probably won't, but it'll be an awkward clear potentially. Oops, there's Vendetta. That helps rather a lot.
0 mana, kill the Harrison? Yeah, look at that.
I think 1 mana Warpath should cost 1 with the Echo as well.
Oh, you think Echo cards should also... Well, the problem with that is, what about when an Echo card costs 0? You play it infinite amounts of time.
Win the game and crash the server. What could go wrong?
0 mana Warpaths, Lorinda. What about them?
There are reasons that I am not a game designer.
APM Warrior.
Stupidity being one of those reasons.
Not the best selection of choices once again.
Yeah, Feral Spirit might prove to be annoying later. Here's another board. Can just be Warpath.
Yep.
And might well be. Looks like a perfect Warpath for 6 mana.
Does Acolyte change that? I don't think so.
It just
Gia
irritates
still has
them
the
because they
second
want to
Warpath.
Warpath.
Yeah, exactly. But she can save the second Warpath to play with the Acolyte, I guess.
Yeah,
It's like the old
Double
Acolyte
Warpath
Pain
doesn't really-
Volcano days, isn't it?
yes. God, they were
Do I
fun.
clear this board now, or do I wait until 8 mana so I can play the Acolyte and then play the Volcano? Just clear it now. Get rid of it. Whoa!
No, last HCG. Okay. Okay.
Okay, that I am surprised by that, but I'm not going to doubt Gia when it comes to playing the Zoth Warrior.
It does allow for Acolyte and the Warpath to make so much more sense next turn now. Because their hand it can survive for a while, but it's run out of things to do. Like you mentioned earlier, the N'Zoth doesn't really have any purpose right now. So getting the cards from the Acolyte, Philippines are prioritised quite heavily. Just starting to glance up at that Leroy, it starts to just become interesting now. The thing with Thorstone, unless you're going to kill your opponent, you just cannot leave it up. A warrior can do so much damage with everything reduced by 2.
Choose soon.
I thought teams would be playing a little bit less rogue P this year.
With only 2 people instead of 4? Yeah, I can definitely understand that argument. It definitely does change the way the players are going to think, because I think maybe one of the hardest things about HGG last year was sort of working out all 4 players' roles. And I believe one of the things Gia said to me was that between herself and Staz, they just decided, obviously there is officially a pilot in each game, that's the player that you see on screen, although they are communicating. The pilot is the player that you see on screen. G and Staz playing in the same room, they decided, you know what, if we ever disagree, it's the pilot's call for that game, but otherwise we're equal input.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. You need somebody who has the decision. No sorries. You only trust them to make the decision. If it goes wrong, you don't apologise. You just trust each other to get it right more often than not. It's not like you're trying to lose, so... A lot of resources used up this turn, but can be refilled pretty easily. And having just
Now
seen
the board is
all
clear.
that, yeah, I just wonder if this is your time to just Edwin it up.
I think it might have to be, because again, as we said earlier, when it comes to N'Zoth and late game things, it's difficult for the rogue to keep up with that. But like maybe now is the opening to go Lackey, Blink Fox, Edwin, because you fill up your hand with a card from the Blink Fox, you get a big board down, and you've got the Leroy ready to go next turn and be bounced thanks to the Waggle pick. I think it's go time.
Yeah, I think you go for it. Australia have shown in the other games where they had to make this decision. They're not scared to go for it and hope your opponent doesn't have it. And they do have a clue. That last turn just wasn't a pretty looking clear, in my eyes anyway. It was the sort of turn that looked not desperate, but awkward as anything. So you might as well go for it now. Sign that it looks like they're going to. Not going to have time to see what all the cards are from the Blinking Fox though. Just have to jam all your things down. Edwin has moved, so Edwin is coming to play.
Well, there it is. There's the play that we were sort of hoping for, but there's a Brawl picked up off the top. Is it necessary this turn? It might be.
It might well be.
Warpath coin, Warpath Ziliax does not deal with the Edwin. It does put Ziliax in the way though. But we're playing against a deck that runs saps and backstabs.
Yeah. You also got to decide if you want to throw anything into the brawl. Do you want to just put the Acolyte in there? You don't want to do that at all, but the question I'm asking is, do you do it? Because it's not just this board you've got to deal with. You know that Australia still have plenty of resources left, and next turn should be difficult as well. So is there a play that preserves your brawl, like you say, with the Ziliax maybe, and you just brawl next turn?
21 health is still reasonable health total. Warpath.
It goes down quick,
Super
though.
Collider. No, alright, it's brawl
They're
time.
going
Let's
for
go. Okay, the 3-3, that's fine. I think the Philippines will take that.
Edwin can leave is his new name. He's gone.
I mean, that was the big deal, right? Looking at Frosty's hand
Yeah.
now, there's nothing that Australia can play that sticks past the Warpath.
Yep.
Even the Reborn Stealth minion just loses to Warpath.
I wonder.
But it is the second Warpath. And
True.
so far, Philippines haven't got much in their own way of fighting back, but they do look to be turning the corner. But if Australia could annoy them and stop Philippines from developing their own board and do some damage of their own as they go along, Leroy Shadow Steps, one heck of a good thing to have in your back pocket. Okay, there's no Shadow Step yet, but we're talking 2 or 3 turns from now. There's sap available, you're going to be able to force some damage through.
Catch you soon.
Just keep chipping away.
So many options. A place to hide.
The blade be thirsty.
Yeah, and Warpath number 2.
It's just devastating, isn't it? I'm looking at the hand, see if there's any better options. There's definitely not. Like, this
Yeah.
Warpath is crippling for Australia.
Yeah, just doing the Super Collider Dynamatic maths as well, because that's a thing.
Dynamatic Coin Ziliax is also an option, but I would say Dynamatic Coin Ziliax comes later. For now, just Warpath, get rid of this.
Yep.
Because that's a huge swing, Dynamatic Ziliax. And not necessary here.
Yeah, I think if you could guarantee the Fox was going to attack the Stealth minion, it would be different. But
Place to
you
hide.
can't guarantee that, so just go for the Warpath.
This leaves Australia in the position where really all that Frosty can do is play Sulfur Rays and start hitting the face with it, and that's just not going to get there. As we can see, as Gia has the Ziliax, the ability to armor up, and at some point, Cartoon Defenders and things will be appearing.
You join one card.
I guess
for the
that's why
Acolyte.
playing the Acolyte there was vital. Yeah.
So many options.
Yeah, and the hand is slowly but surely evaporated. The damage is still chipping away. And not a whole lot, like you say, without that cartoon that Philippines can do to really represent a board here. Keep an eye on those saps. Double sap with Leroy, with a lot of damage coming in from weapon. Would be lethal next turn if Shadow Step was picked up. Through most things.
Light the fuses!
That is assuming that Philippines don't armor, but I imagine they'll be armoring a lot. Oh, there's a shield block.
That helps. That very, very, very dramatically helps. As does Dr. Boom, actually. Just for the burst 9 armor
Yeah.
if necessary. Back up to 23 health again, and this is looking... It should be over, pretty much.
I thought that was the shadow step then for a minute. I was about to cry on the behalf of Australia. But turns out the backstab's got a different picture. Very, very different picture.
Yeah, I mean, Shadow Step still doesn't get there. Again, because of the shield block, exactly. That's
No, exactly, yeah.
uh...
And there's some other assumptions there as well. There's plenty of ways to avoid 16.
Okay, there is an out up here. There is an out for Frosty, and that's Togwaggle, right? Like, Lackey into Togwaggle, into draw 3 cards that cost 0, into the nuts. That's the out.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about it as if it's over. There's a turn
I don't
or
know
two
what these
left
3
yet.
cards are, but...
I don't know, 3-0 mana cards tend to just be good. And I'm like you, so I don't know what they are, but then when you see them, you remember. But oh yeah,
Edwin's been
they're just good
used.
cards.
Questing could be good, I guess. The problem is, Australia's already drawn a lot of their top end, so... Even with the Togwaggle draw 3, maybe Discover 2 is better then, I don't know. But I don't see Frosty winning this without Tog.
Empty board for Dr. Boom is just the warrior's dream.
And a
Where it
coin to
wants
hero
be.
power.
Cool. They have held onto that coin extremely carefully through the game. Have been chances to burn it.
Job's done.
Okay, that's interesting to me. Valuing the 2 immediate armor over the hero power. Because they know that if they survive 1 or 2 more turns, they just win. I mean, they know they probably win anyway, but they're not certain there's not Leroy double shadow step hanging around in there.
True. But unfortunately, Frosty is just dead drawing at the moment. We'll be seeing dead draw a little bit later, but for now it's Frosty just not really finding anything. And again, I'm just staring at this deck list, like trying to work out what can bring him back. So aside from Togwaggle, I guess there's Hench Clan Burglar into something big.
Yeah, it needs to
big
be
warrior
big thing
card
into
could
big
bring him
thing to
back?
big thing.
Or-
Because they preserve.
Oh.
Okay, cartoons here. In case there was any doubt.
Oh, there's 2 saps.
Okay, it can be set.
There's 2 saps. Forget about that. It's not relevant for now.
Now, if they had a coin in their hand, they could play the cartoon and the Ziliax here and occupy some board in a big way.
This would be a good time for a master.
Hench Clan Burglar into Shadowwalk.
Is it a day when you take the Rusty Recycler just because of the lifesteal? You know that things are going to get sapped. I mean, they've got to be sapped in hand, right? Nothing has happened for 3 turns.
Honestly, Taunt plus Lifesteal is looking pretty good to me right now. Even with the saps, like, Gia's got several taunts and several turns to play them. Wow, look at the Explodinator! Gia's
So that's the cheapest.
planning on ending
Yeah,
this game soon.
I think the point being that they took the cheapest minion because they know they're going to get sapped, so why waste mana? If you want to sap my Explodinator, good luck to you.
Also, they're
Preserve
both
a
Death
mech.
Rattle minions. And there's a N'Zoth in hand.
Yep. Guarantees a mech for your Ziliax as well. It doesn't guarantee, but if you want to sap that, like I say, good luck. So all in all, works out nicely on all those fronts. Oof. This is one of those rogue concede hands that you see sometimes, where the rogue gets too upset and shows you his hand, then concedes. Used to be the preps back in the day.
I wonder. I'll choose soon. How much is this worth to you? Defend the gates!
Alright, Frosty coming back in full force here.
Yeah.
Hits up everything that can attack. Still got the saps in hand, still got Leroy.
and Dynamatics happening.
Yeah. In a word, yeah.
And
And
Ziliax
Ziliax
happening
can come
to gain some
down
health.
and immediately hit the face, yeah.
Light the muses!
That wasn't just a good RNG. Obviously, the bombs are mechs for people who haven't encountered the card. So it's guaranteed to hit everything. We take it for granted, and for sure most people do, but worth pointing out that it just looks like it's obscenely lucky if you're not careful. And you don't even want to sap one of these things. Alright, this needs to be good. This needs to be good.
It's a card draw. Something. Okay.
Dr. Boo.
Alright, keep talking.
Sap, lucky.
You can't sap the 0-2, can you? How important is that extra +1/+1 on the questing?
I think you have to keep one of the saps in hand.
I think you have to as well. So it's just questing sap the lackey, and then it's a 4/4, and it just dies to the hero power and the dynamatic.
Yeah, and hope your opponent's 7-card bomb in your hand can't deal with anything.
What is happening?
I mean, Australia have had a lot of tough decisions throughout this match, most of which have involved losing in the least probability way possible.
He's actually going to sap both. Because it's
It
the
needs
only
to
way
survive,
that it
has to be
survives.
alive, yeah.
Oh, wait. Or is he not? No, my mistake.
No.
He's actually not going to play the lackey. Okay. Holding on to that lackey for
Oh.
Togwackle still. As it's still seeming like the only out. But there's even more armor for Gia.
Yeah. I mean, you are right. Togwaggle draws some amazing legendaries, maybe.
It's starting to look like it's going to have to be Togwaggle fill up your hand with a card, Neil.
Fill up your hand with what card? I don't think they've got much excitement left.
Like the goblet. The goblet. Maybe they could find a Henge Clan Burglar, fill up the hand with that.
Sure.
Then find
good.
other
They're
better
alive.
stuff to actually win the game.
And we should be pointing out here, while we've been finding the corner cases, Philippines are trying to stop those corner cases from happening, like you said a couple of terms ago. And they're just trying to end it. Yeah, they're piling on as much damage as they can, just make those corner cases just vanish completely.
369 damage, ready to go next turn. 10 with the Super Collider. Shadow Step, way too late to do anything.
Yeah.
Nah, the players Leroy, Sap, Shadow Step, Leroy concede.
I've seen that play made several times.
Like this is it, right? This has to be. Frosty knows that this is the last sap. Once the card 2 gets sapped, it just comes back again. There's no way to sap that and get lethal in the same turn. So
I think the play...
it feels like checkmate.
You could get the second Shadow Step. Leroy
Okay.
Shadow Step, Leroy Shadow Step, and hope your opponents can't count. That you can play the third Leroy. And hope they have some sort of brain accident and think they're going back to 2012 or 14. You're right. Plays this.
Actually making the play that I described.
They are.
Okay.
It's the first time in Hearthstone history this has happened, ladies and gentlemen. And it's
Oh no, I got it wrong. He didn't play the sap. Didn't play the sap. Congratulations to the Philippines for taking the first series of the Hearthstone Global Games 2019 up against Australia. So, Philippines qualify now into the winners match, where they are going to face off against Singapore, who beat Japan off stream, and Australia are going to go into the losers bracket and face off against Japan. The loser of that series is just eliminated immediately from the Hearthstone Global Games.
Yeah, that with them done. We'll be having that one and the Singapore-Philippines match in order. I think the winners one's going to be first, so stick around for that, and then the Japan Australia one after that. You're looking puzzle. Have I got it backwards?
No, that's right. I believe the next, according to my notes, the next match coming up now is going to be the winners match, and I believe Derek is going to be joining me for that one. So don't go anywhere. We have got the Philippines up against Singapore coming up after this.